name is Sam Conver, and I run the Louisville Jedi Academy. And I'm going to be showing you today the first jar of Shii Cho. Shii Cho is the first form out of the 10. There's 10 different lightsaber fighting styles, and Shii Cho is the first of those. And the way Shii Cho is transmitted, it's through something called the jar. And the jar is an interactive pattern of 6 movements in this case. Some of them are longer, but in this case we'll be looking at 6 movements that both encompass offensive as well as defensive responses. And so it's intended to be done in 2 persons where they're offset. So in the series of the 6 movements where one person starts at move 1, the other person starts at move 4, and as they move through it then they're both meeting and attacking in sequence. The most important part of the initial jar is to know where the lightsaber actually goes. I will show you some footwork that you can utilize, but in the end it should be a free movement flowing thing. You just know the angles that you're attacking or the angles that you're defending, and you go to those proper places. So you can find in any body position that you have, you can still be doing this interactive flow pattern, and the better you get at it, the less it matters where your scenery is, what kind of space you're doing it in. The first Shii Cho, this first system, is a so, that means a single lightsaber form. It can be done with just holding it with one hand. In fact, I'm going to teach the initial pattern just holding it with one hand so you can understand where it goes. And then I'll show you how it can be done with 2. So 1 hand or 2 hands on the lightsaber, either is fine for Shii Cho. It will not be done with any reverse grip, not yet. That will come with later lightsaber forms. So as of now, you only hold it in forward grip here for Shii Cho. Now, the first position that we have, or the first of the jars that we have, is for they're referenced by what area, what zone you're protecting. So you have this kind of high to the left side, you have this high to the right side, you have these middle sections here, and you have low. So if you divide your body into 3 quadrants and you've got a left and right side there, there'll be a different jar to protect each one of those different quadrants. And 6 counts involving both the defensive and the offensive moves. Let me point out that I'm using mirror image to teach this. So while it'll appear that I'm holding it in my left hand, you want to be holding it in your right. So if I do a downward cut with what looks like my left hand and you do one with your right, is as if you're faced in a mirror image. And this is just an easier teaching model that way, but you'll always hold it in your right hand. So don't try and transpose yourself and hold it in your left hand. Hold it in your right hand. Cut down if I cut down. If the sword's supposed to point in this direction, that means your right hand lifts it up and it points it to your left, even though it looks like I'm holding it up with my left and pointing it to my right. That way, as we look in the mirror image, we both match, right? So that should make it easier to teach, and that's actually our first position. So this is a high defense for the sword is coming down and attacking somewhere here on your left side. Left is moon, right? And it is the high line here, or the cha. So I'm coming up, and this is a moon, cha, corte. Corte means to block, right? It comes from the metal cortosis, which was in the Old Republic the only metal that a lightsaber could not cut through. So from cortosis we get corte, which means to block. So this high left block here, it rises up to meet, and you want to keep it horizontal above your head so that when the attacking force meets, it might bow down a little bit, that's fine, but if you start with it already bowed and that force meets, it can collapse, and both their sword and your own can come cutting you. We don't want that. So you want to come up, keep it, as you practice it, keep it horizontal, and then it may give a little bit when there's contact with an opponent, but it won't be so much that it collapses on you. All right, so this is the moon and the high, that's the cha line. Cha is this high zone. Moon, cha, corte. Now from here, step 2, I bring the tip around behind my head here to the opposite side. This is an orbital. Anytime you go from one point to from one side of the body to the other side, you bring the sword around behind you, that's called an orbital. So I start here from this moon position, I'm going to orbital, bring in and around here to the right side, and I'm doing a high horizontal cut. So again, it's cha, it's high, it's cho, cho means horizontal, right? Cut this way. And it's coming to, if you're facing your opponent, you will be attacking their left side. So it is a moon cha cho as it cuts across, because it's a cut to the left side of their neck as you're facing them. So in reference to attack, if you attack the left side, it's a moon attack. If you're doing a defense, corte, and it's protecting your left side, it's a moon defense. So it's all defense is in reference to you. The attack is always in reference to how you're attacking your opponent, and that can get confusing. So we go from a moon defense to a moon attack in this case, because you're protecting your left side, and then you turn and you attack their left side. Those high horizontal coming straight across the neck, right? So moon, high, cha, corte, comes around to the moon, cha, cho, right? High, cut. That's step 2. Step 3, we're going to drop back. Now we're going to protect the sun side, the right side, as you come up, right? So now this is the side, this high quadrant being attacked. And we're going to rise up this way with the sword pointing to your right as it rises up. And once again, keep it nice and horizontal. That way when there's contact, it'll have a little bit of give, but of course it won't collapse on you. So the same rule applies whether you're doing the sun or whether you're doing the moon, right? Depending on which side you're protecting. But I'm basically coming up the middle this way. You may even be twisting a little bit so that you're protecting that side of your body completely as you come up and protect the sun, cha, corte, here, this area with the high block. Now, that's the first 3 moves, right? So best way to practice these jars is to take them in sets of 3, since there's 6 movements total. One person learned the first part, steps 1, 2, 3. The other party will learn steps 4, 5, and 6, and that way you can back and forth, right? So at the same time, person A is doing move 1, person B can be doing move 4, and they'll meet perfectly each time, and so forth and so on, right? And then you'll switch places. Once you got the hang of your part, you learn the other person's part, and then you just flow through one section to the other. Whether you start at move 4 or you start at move 1, you just keep moving on and restart the jar as you go, on and on and on and on, right? Through all 6 moves. So we have 1, we come around 2, this is 3, right? Now 4. 4 is going to cut down diagonally here from your right side to your left. And again, we're attacking the moon side. This is a downward cut. Downward cut is called a sai, but because we are attacking the left side and we're doing it at a diagonal line, this is a moon sai as we cut down this way. So moon sai is movement 4. You cut down diagonally. Right? Now the next one, we're going to protect this high line as we come across. So this is protecting the mai again, and it's a horizontal here, mai, cho, corte. Right? So we're stopping that horizontal attack, and it's pointing up. And that'll be important because we'll have movements later where it will be pointing down. Make reference to whether the sword is point up or point down. In this case, because it's a high attack, point up this way. And it comes across like a wall, right across to the side, protecting that side of your body again from a high attack. Right? That's move 5. Move 6 will be, in our final move, a sun side. We're going to cut the right side. So we start high at the left, cut down diagonally to the right. Right? That's all 6 counts. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then back again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right? Now that's the important part here with Shii Cho, is just to know where the sword goes. I haven't done any footwork at all with this. Naturally, when you actually get into the fight, you're going to have one side forward, probably the right to start with, right? As you hold it in your right hand. And then again, we have our step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, right? Now, if I hold it with 2 hands, now the footwork is going to come more into play. Anytime you're cutting from your right side to the left, you'll want your right foot forward. Anytime you're cutting from your left side to the right, you're going to have to switch sides. Otherwise, if you try to cut from your left to your right and you still have your right foot forward, you can cut, but there's not much follow through for that, right? Everything's in your back going to start to pinch right about where you're making contact. So if you want full follow through, you have to add the step, right? And that's whether it's horizontal, that's whether it's diagonal, right? Or even vertical. If I need to lead with that left side, I need to step forward, right? So if it's an attack on the right side here, then I'll have to have that right side forward. If I'm attacking from the left to the right, I need to step. So keeping that in mind, if we grab with two hands, our step one, the arms are going to crisscross. This is actually a pretty strong position. It may feel a little awkward, but I'm holding the sword here with the left hand at the bottom, right hand at the top. Now the advantage of holding it with two hands as opposed to one, you have more power because you have the push-pull action. My back hand, my left hand pulls back, right hand pushes forward, and you have more power behind your cuts now, right? So that's the advantage there to doing it double-handed. So if we do the same jar here with Shii Cho and we do double hand on it, we're going to come up. This is step one, right? So it crisscrosses, arms crisscross as it comes up for our step one. Step two comes around the head, and it's like a baseball swing right across the throat. Step three, now they don't have to cross, but they come up to protect that right side. Step four cuts down. Step five, I turn, right? I'm still holding this in a vertical position. Now step six, cutting left to right, I'll have to step forward. And I'll step right back again as I go back to step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back. 1, 2, sorry, 1 is here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right now, if you get used to that pattern, just practicing it here, and you're ready to do it with a partner who also knows it, they need to know it well enough, then one of you starts at part 4, one of you starts at part 1, and 1 and 4 will meet perfectly, and 2 and 5 will meet perfectly, and 3 and 6 will meet perfectly, and then you switch places. And it's this never-ending flow, and you can get to where you're moving around as you're doing this stuff too, defensively cutting and moving with it at the same time. But you want to build up first confidence in knowing where the sword needs to go, right? Where the attacks are going to protect this high left side quadrant, right? There is an attack to the high right, 1 though out of the 3. 2 of them are attacks to the left side. So that's the first one. That is our moon, our high or our cha, and our defensive jar flow pattern. Jar. So moon, cha, jar, or the jar, cha, moon, cha, it would be how we would signify that. It's the high left side, and the jar is the flow pattern. That's the first out of what we have for Shii Cho. Practice that, and I'll be back with part 2.